So, another aspect of designing a life that I truly want to live that I've been thinking a lot about lately is actually the next chapter in my hair journey. So, I have, for I would say, the last few years, I usually get, box braid extensions or even kinky twists extensions just out of the convenience of not having to do my hair. I don't do my hair. I can't braid or anything like that. So I'm not really big on having hairstyles that require a lot of maintenance. And this time around, as I'm getting ready to take out my braids, and I've been considering two options. Just side note, every so often I do wear my actual hair out for a while just to give it a rest from constantly staying braided up. But usually, even when I do just wear my natural hair, it's usually in braids, like protective styles, braids or twists, until I get extensions put back in. But I'm very tired of extensions. I don't really. It's actually something that I had gotten back used to more recently. Once I started back working in more professional environments. As you can see, I have shaved sides, and that's just kind of like my own personality spin on it. But always just having something that's you know quote unquote professional appearance. And I'm just kind of tired of, I've gotten into that habit and I'm just tired of it. And I just want a style that's more, that's a natural style, that's on a lower maintenance side. And so I've been considering two options. I've been either considering just wearing two-strand twists with my natural hair and just kind of rocking out with that, getting those redone every so often. But I've also been considering getting locks, and I've actually had locks before. I had locks. I would say 6, 7, maybe 7 years ago. And I had them done using the interlock method, and I liked it. The only thing that I didn't like about it was that my hair, as new growth was coming in, and I was on point, on schedule, like getting them retwisted and everything like that. But as new growth was coming in, it was like my hair was just getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And I didn't like that because I would find myself asking, my loctician to combine a lot of the locks because they were just super thin, and then like the consistency in the lock, like the top part would be thicker, and then as you run down the lock it'll just get super thin, and then it would get back thicker. And I didn't like it. From far away you definitely couldn't tell, and they looked beautiful. I loved the way they looked, but ultimately, because I felt like my hair was thinning over time with that particular method, I ended up actually cutting them out after having them. And also, too, it just seemed like they weren't, it just was taking forever for them to like bud um, on top of, excuse me, excuse me, on top of, my hair thinning. After about 2.5 years, they were like just starting to bud, like, I mean, like barely, like on the ends. And I was just like, geez, my hair was growing. It was growing, but it just was growing thinner. And after 2.5 years, and it taken it that long just to see some budding with that particular technique, I kind of gave up on them, even though I enjoyed having locks. I enjoyed the way they looked, like I said, but just, up close and personal with the locks, I really didn't like, how my hair was thinning and how long it was taking for them to actually lock up. So I ended up cutting those out and, you know, rocked my hair short for quite some time, and then I let it grow back. But ever since it has been, long enough to get extensions, I've been kind of wearing the extensions on and off for the last few years. And yeah, I'm kind of over it. I'm tired of getting the extensions and stuff like that. So I'm, considering either two two-strand twists with my natural hair, or, actually getting two-strand twists as starter locks. And I just recently discovered that that was actually a technique, which, listen, bear with me. I'm not super in the hair and everything. I don't know all the things. But as I was looking up different ways to, do starter locks. And fun fact, before I even considered getting the interlocks, which I had about 7 years ago, give me 1 second. My dog is asking to leave out of the room. All right, sorry about that, guys. So, um, my dog, he hears something on the TV, and he's attacking the sound, right? But anyway, I digress. What was I talking about? Oh, before I got interlocks, I actually tried to start locks using just the coil method, and that was very short lived because they just did not last, and I didn't the coils just wouldn't stay in because during that time I had a pretty active lifestyle. I was working out a lot, exercise a lot, so I sweat a lot, and my job at the time was pretty physically demanding and stuff. So they just didn't last, and I just felt like it would have just never. I would have never gotten to the point for them to like actually lock up or whatever, because I kept having to go back to get them, recoiled, and I was just like, okay, so that method's not going to work. And then that's how I ended up deciding on getting the interlocks, and the interlocks were perfect for my active lifestyle, because they, they didn't come out or anything, with working out and things like that. So, but I just didn't like how my hair was thinning. So fast forward to today, I'm still considering going back to locks because I enjoy, the locks, and like just all of the different phases, the personality phases that your hair goes through when you're starting a lock journey. And I'm just thinking about future, like the possibility of, maybe living and working abroad, and not knowing how, you know, easy it will be to access, black hair care, um, overseas. And so just thinking about something that doesn't require like a ton of maintenance, especially once, the locks actually, you know, begin to lock up and stuff like that. I know in the beginning it requires more maintenance, just the upkeep and everything like that just to get them going. But once they're going, you know what I mean? You can just kind of, go ahead and about your business and let them do them. And I kind of look forward to that. And for me, it's just more like of a, I don't know if this sounds weird or crazy, but just like symbolizes more freedom. Just, you know what I mean? Just being free with my hairstyle, and, you know, ha- not having to have a ton of hair care products, and, all types of combs and brushes, and, you know what I mean? Everything, of course, having the main necessities, but just, I feel like with the locks, it's just one of those things that, doesn't really require a lot of extra stuff outside of, maybe some oils, or, you know what I mean? Or something like that, which is what I used when I had the interlocks. It was like two different types of oils that I would use And then outside of just, washing them with the, with a lock shampoo and conditioner, that's specific for locks. I can't remember like all of the name brands and stuff like that, because I don't keep up with a lot of that kind of stuff. So forgive me for sounding ignorant, but you know, because like I said, it's been, it's been about 6 years or so. Yeah, about 6 or 7 years since I've had them. So it's been a while, and I can't quite remember what the brands were that I was using, but I do know that I didn't. It was great not needing a comb or a brush or anything, and well, I used a brush because even during that time, I still had the shaved sides. But my hair was so short. My hair was a lot shorter than it actually is now. And just going through the quote unquote, ugly phase, that was fun. Not really, but I still actually liked it. It was pretty cool. They just, had their own little personality or whatever, and I actually enjoyed going through it. It wasn't too bad because I still had kind of like my mohawk going on, so I was just in the zone with those, and I kind of missed that feeling a bit. So that's what's just been on my mind lately, and I've been looking up a few different locticians in the area, getting recommendations, and trying to narrow it down to a couple and decide from there. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for Keosha's hair journey, brought to you by Proof and Prosper. But yeah, so that's just what was on my mind today, and just kind of again thinking of different aspects of, all the things that I'm considering changing about what I've been doing so far, and just thinking about how much of an impact a lot of these things are. And even though they can be considered restrictive in a bit, in a certain way, because like, you know, always having to make sure that you're going, every so often to get your hair redone, and, having a whole bunch of different products just to make sure your hair laying and all of that stuff and all of that stuff. And you may or may not be able to tell, I'm not really into the hair and stuff. I just always want to make sure that I look presentable, but, and everything. But at the end of the day, hair is hair to me. Um, so yeah, I just want to get back to natural, back to my natural hair, and just that aspect of, being free, free with my hair. And so I will keep you guys posted on that. But that was just on my mind today, just kind of thinking about, I was like, man, I gotta get ready to take down my braids, and I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna do. And for right now, I think I'm just gonna probably rock the 2-strand twist. That's what I'm leaning towards, but like I said, now that I know that that's actually a method for starter locks, I might just go ahead and, yeah, you know what I mean, just do that. So I look forward to seeing, what I decide to do, how it's going to turn out, and I look forward to sharing that with you all. Let me know in the comments, have you ever decided to change your hair for a different season in your life? For me, I tend to like cut my hair off and start fresh every time I do like a major life change. And I don't want to keep doing that. So I'm interested in hearing from you all. Have you, is your hair journey, have you had to go through a hair journey, to symbolize a change in your life? Or are you considering getting locks? I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. So let me know. We can talk about it. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.